Thanks, Nanette. It's good to be back on the stage. Now, what I want to talk about today is some work with a doctoral student of mine, Farzad Abedi, and the name of the paper is Can Personalization or Creativity Reduce Banner Blindness? An Executive Functions Approach to Media and Creative Strategies. Now, the basic idea behind this paper is that we as advertisers, we want to reach consumers. And when we want to reach consumers, it's just before a decision is made. Now, the old-fashioned way we did this back in the Stone Ages, it was yellow pages advertising. We had the display ad on the yellow pages, and people look up a particular company, try to order something, and there it is. There's our display ad. So this is just sort of the high-tech version of that. Now, what we often do is we pay for search terms. We use cookies. We use various types of AIs. But we're trying to somehow or another find consumers just before they make a decision. Now, I'm going to give you an analogy for this, okay? And it's sort of a train analogy. And consumers are in a particular train of thought. They're going towards a decision, okay? And this train has a massive amount of momentum with it, okay? And consumers are said to be fully in control of this train. So here it is, it's and it's going to hopefully get to a station. And what this station represents is a purchase. So what we do then is to try to personalize ads to their train and sort of present it to them. And hopefully we can then get them to sort of select our platform at the station. All right, and that's what we're trying to do with personalization. Now, there's another perspective I want to talk about. Okay, and that's the extreme creativity kind of approach. So what we're trying to do then is not just sort of have a subtle effect, okay, on the right consumers. What we want to have is a big effect on a lot of consumers and derail the whole train, okay? And we're going to derail the train with creativity. So what this paper is about, okay, we're going to compare this personalization kind of idea, that is, to send the right ad at the right time to a consumer. And indeed, that's the essence of personalization. And we're going to compare that to using extreme creativity, okay? So those are sort of the two kinds of ads that we're going to do. We're going to do relatively simple ads, simple banner ads, versus some really extreme creativity ads. Now, so we're going to conceptualize a two-step consumer decision process, all right? That is, consumers, you first have to get attention, and then you have processing. Now, let me mention a few words about understanding advertising processing. Sort of in the old media world, which was very much based on television, we kind of sort of only focused on the processing. Most ad processing models assume you already had attention. And for a television world, that's not terribly unreasonable. Of course, we're not in that world anymore. Okay, consumers seem to have some kind of control over their attention, and they often don't share it. The alternative that I'm going to talk about is a new model. It's called executive functions. And what executive functions about is it tries to incorporate in attention into our processing models. Executive function has three particular elements that it talks about. It talks about inhibitory control. And what inhibitory control is we're trying to say, make a decision, think about something. We're going to inhibit all the possible distractions. Usually, those are our ads. So somebody's on the web, they're trying to make a decision, the train is moving, inhibitory control means they're going to screen out practically everything, all right? And working memory reinforces this inhibitory control. But there's also another element of executive functions, and that's something called cognitive flexibility. That is, we sort of take advantage of what opportunities present themselves. And if something creative or interesting pops up, we might sort of let go of that inhibitory control and actually process the ad that we might send, okay? So that's sort of a slightly different framework that's much more based on attention, all right? Now, so here's our possible hypotheses, okay? Option one, which is the personalization approach, you give consumers what they need. Okay, so we're just trying to sort of remind folks with a simple message, hey, this is what you really wanted, wasn't it? Okay, so that's the AI approach with personalized ads. Option two, on the other hand, is let's get attention regardless of consumer goals. We're trying to break through with that consumer and then have a dialogue with them. One of the classics, one of the old JAR editors, Art Cover, absolutely fabulous work from JAR years ago. Breakthrough, then dialogue. So the hypothesis we have is that these creative ads, this is my hope anyways, these creative ads have more influence than personalized ads, especially when attention is considered. Okay, so here's the method. We've got the subjects and an online media setting, okay, and we're going to use eye tracking on them. They're viewing mocked up websites about the 2024 Olympic Games, detailing 4 new sports, okay? So we're also going to show them 4 banner ads, okay? And we're going to have some tasks for them, okay? Now, one of the manipulations is ad personalization, high versus low. In the high personalization condition, 2 of those ads will relate to some kind of activity that they went through before. That is, we're simulating a search for them for 2 of the ads they'll later see. So regardless of how you figure out how to personalize the ads, we pretty much just force it. And we know ahead of time, okay, these 2 particular product categories are going to be where they've done the search. These other 2, they haven't. And then when they see the ads, it works out. Okay, so we're going to have ad creativity, very highly creative ads, and some very simple banner ads. We're also going to manipulate the train speed, the depth of information processing. Okay, so we're going to have, say, very deep processing. We're going to have a goal for them. And in fact, the way that we manipulate the goal is we're going to quiz them about these 4 new sports versus the low information processing condition. They're just viewing the ads in a more ordinary way. 4 brands: Adidas, Apple, IKEA, and TGI Fridays. Now, we're going to have 4 categories of measures. We're going to have attention, which is the total fixation duration that comes from the eye tracking. We're going to have attitude towards the ad and attitude towards the brand. Okay. We're also going to have recall for both the ad and the brand, and recognition for both the ad and the brand. So a lot of different measures. Now, some of the results. Here we go. All right. Now, let's first talk about attention, total fixation duration. Okay. Creative ads greatly increase attention. Okay. It's dramatic. Okay. So the creative ads are on the right-hand side. And as you can see, the mean level seconds of duration are very high. The solid line is the shallow information processing, the slower train, less momentum. And, you know, it's a huge effect between the simple ads and the creative ads, just a heck of a lot more attention. Now, when they're doing deeper processing, that inhibitory control is working a lot harder, and you see less of a creativity effect, but it's still there. Okay, it's still strong. Okay, now, when processing is deep, creative ads improve attitudes. Okay, and that is that dotted line that you see, that between the simple and the creative ads. Okay, big increase in attitude towards the brand. Okay, however, but when casually surfing, they seem to hurt. Okay, this was not what we were expecting. Okay, that in those kinds of situations, with someone casually surfing, all of a sudden attitude towards the brand seems to fall. Okay, now most of the time we're assuming when we're doing personalized ads, they are in this goal-oriented kind of state. So that dotted line is the really important one. But this sort of casually surfing kind of thing, this is interesting. In fact, we have some follow-up work that we'll shortly be sending into JAR that replicates that particular effect. Okay, now there's a slightly different one. There's an interaction with fixation duration. If a simple ad can get attention, which by the way, most of the time it can. I mean, it's like 10-15% of the time it can get that attention. But if it gets that attention, it can work well. Okay, and that's the solid line, that if somebody's sitting there looking at the ad for 6 or 7 seconds for the simple ad, wow, this is positive. But this hardly ever happens. Okay, again, worth some additional research. Now, some of the attention measures. If one attends a simple ad, recall goes up. Okay, and again, if you can get them to look at it, great. And those are the 2 solid lines in the 2 charts. Okay, Now, next, with regards to recognition, if one attends a simple ad, recognition goes up, okay? Again, that's great, but it just rarely happens, okay? So the discussion. Creativity works for attitude measures, both ad and brand. So yeah, we do find those big positive effects that we wanted, okay? Personalization works for memory measures, okay? So if you're sitting there talking about, oh, our objective is to build attitude, yeah, creativity is kind of the tool that you want. If what you're trying to focus on is memory, personalization might actually work pretty good in those parts. So which is more valuable, attitude or memory? That sort of depends on your context. Now, another thing that comes out of this research, however, is can we use both at the same time? Actually, we can. The way we set up the study is both the personalization approach and the creativity approach were actually independent of one another. They didn't interact, but it is something that we can do both at the same time and do better work. So thank you guys. Appreciated the time, and I think we'll shortly get to some questions. Thanks.